Alright, so this is just going to be a little video on what your old radio might need as far as work. So let's start off with tubes. So let's start off with this one right here. As you can see, it's got this like silvery color. You can see the camera in it. This tube has about 150 to 175,000 hours put onto it. So it's quite a few. But here's an example of a tube that's good. This is a new old stock Sylvania tube from the 30s. As you can see, it's crystal clear up on the top, never been used. That's a perfect tube. So now let's move on to filter capacitors. So here is a bulging filter capacitor up at the top. This is the one that I replaced out of my TV. But so inside of this radio, just pull the knobs off quick. This radio has a paper filter capacitor. Hold on. Alright, so we got the knobs off. So let me just push the radio out of here. So here's an example of a paper filter capacitor right here. These also come in metal, and if it's original, it should be replaced, because that is probably what is going to cause this. Hold on, I think a tube is missing in there. Let me go replace it. Okay, now I got it. It's probably going to cause this. I think you're going to see the tubes glowing up, which that's what they're supposed to do. It's okay if you see some glowing red hot things in the back of your radio. Let's see, now it's not starting up. Sometimes these old, that's another thing that I should talk about, how these old, plugs, or not plugs, these old switches can be very faulty sometimes. Yeah, it doesn't look like it wants to start up, but, let's see, how can I demonstrate? Filter capacitor hum. It's basically just a super loud humming noise where you can't get any stations, and no matter what, you cannot control how loud it hums. It's just going to keep getting louder and louder and louder until it busts the speaker, and that is due to paper capacitors. So if you have capacitors that are like tan colored, or say like mica mold on them, or solar, you gotta replace those with something like this. This I bought from a Radio Shack like probably a month ago. This capacitor right here, it's an electrolytic. So that is something that you would want to replace it with. So that's a good thing. I know I did a little bit of work on this, so now I can demonstrate it for you guys. So this is at minimum volume. That was minimum volume, so yeah, it would have just kept getting louder, and as you can see, that speaker was quite struggling. So here's another thing that could be the issue, is a scratchy on and off switch. Sometimes the on and off switch just needs to be like sprayed with a little bit of compressed air or control cleaner. This one should be, but it turns on and everything. As you can hear that. So it needs to be cleaned. So yeah, that is another issue. Sometimes it's just a matter of plugging it in. I have seen countless times things plugged in like this, and people saying that they don't work. Let me just show you something. On this radio, we have it plugged in like this. As you can see, the volume is up to 10, and we won't get anything across the band at all. What if people could just simply go like this and plug it in so it's all the way in there? It should work.
Frequent target. And with these two
I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to.
Alright, next up we're going to talk about tape decks. Specifically, reel-to-reel tape decks, and I mean older ones from the 50s. So, I'll be demonstrating using a 1956 Sony Global reel-to-reel player. Get that thing off. And these two things, I've already done some minor repairs, like glue these back together. They fell off. There's actually two pieces inside there. So here we have this, which is not belt driven at all, it's wheel driven. So sometimes when you can hear the motor run on these, sometimes it's just the belt, or, well, I'll talk about belts first. So sometimes the belt is broken, and when you can hear the motor running and like nothing coming out of the speakers, like you can just hear like a faint like noise coming out of the speakers, it's just the belt that's broken. It's not the tape deck. Still works, like fully functional probably. Well, you know, I guess you never know, but it still works. So don't throw it away. Just put a new belt on it, even if it's a matter of rubber bands. So I'm going to talk about ones like that use wheels like this, some older ones. So as you can see, this wheel is rubber. And sometimes the rubber just wears away on these because it just gets so old, and they don't touch anymore. Like these things don't touch anymore. So that can be another issue. So yeah, that's the biggest problem with tape decks and why people throw them out or sell them, as in like they don't work anymore, it's broken. It's a simple belt fix. Anybody could do that. So I guess in conclusion, most of the problems with old radios or noise equipment is filter capacitor, or if it has tubes, then a tube. So I suggest getting those replaced. But with tape decks, typically it's a belt, or sometimes the motor just needs to be lubricated. So yeah, that is typically the case on these things. and how to get them repaired. Most of the repairs can just be done by yourself. Some of them involve a couple people or possibly a professional. But if you really want to get something working, I suggest going to a professional if you're new to the hobby, just so then you know that you're getting like work done on it that's like guaranteed to work. So I guess this has been my video, and bye.